Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Nilesh sir.
Good morning, ma'am.
On behalf of Rajgarh Institute of Management Research and Development, I warmly welcome you all to today's session on career opportunities in business analytics. I welcome our today's guest, Nilesh Patil sir, our respected director, Dr. Rohan Dahiwale sir, all faculty members, and all students. RIMRD continuously strives to connect students with emerging industry trends and future-ready skills, and this session is a step toward preparing you for one of the fastest-growing career domains in today's world. With this objective, RIMRD has organized today's webinar on career opportunities in business analytics. We are living in a data-driven era. Every business decision, whether in marketing, finance, healthcare, banking, HR, or e-commerce, is increasingly based on data. But raw data alone is not useful unless someone can analyze it, interpret it, and convert it into meaningful business insights. That is the role of business analytics professionals. Business analytics acts as a bridge between business understanding and technology. It is my privilege to introduce our esteemed guest speaker, Mr. Nilesh Patil, a visionary leader in digital transformation, data, and technology strategy. With nearly 2 decades of global experience and over 14 years in senior leadership role in healthcare sector, Nilesh sir is widely recognized for driving exponential business growth through data analytics and technology lead innovation. Currently serving as the Chief Growth and Strategy Officer at Wellstack Nashville, USA. He has successfully architected growth strategies that resulted in 3x revenue increase in just 24 months and established multiple health system partnerships while leading the roadmap for advanced data analytics platforms. Prior to this, he was the Chief Data Strategy Officer and head of the Data and Analytics practice, where he built a data analytics practice from the ground up, contributing for 40% of company's total revenue within 5 years. His work has influenced over $1 billion impact across 30 plus large scale projects, showcasing his ability to combine strategy, technology, and execution at the highest level. Beyond corporate leadership, Nilesh Sir is deeply committed to mentorship and social impact. He has mentored 50 plus executives and leaders, established scholarships for underprivileged students, donated homes to families in need. His expertise spans AI lead automation, cloud transformation, healthcare analytics, strategic growth, and customer centric digital innovation. I'm truly honored to have Nilesh Sir with us. I now request our director, sir, to address the session.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Nilesh Patil, sir.
What is sir?
On behalf of Rajgarh Institute of Management Research and Development, I welcome you, sir, in our institute and for this webinar. We are looking forward for more types with you. Uh, I just wanted to share that most of our students are from village background and rural background. Okay, and they are learning in our institute. Most students are pursuing their MBA in business analytics, marketing, and finance specialization. So we are very privileged to have you, sir, today in this webinar. And I request you to please start the session.
Sure, sure. First of all, thank you very much for the warm welcome and introduction. A lot of time, what happens that we don't know where to start. Okay, but this introduction to really help. Okay, so my idea here is not to really preach anything new. Most of you know a lot. I would really try to connect the dots and tell you exactly okay where the industry is headed, what sort of opportunities are getting created, as well as how overall data ecosystem really comes together. So we'll split session into three parts. First, I will talk a little bit more about the data analytics, data sciences, and AI, where it is headed. Then I will also talk about the roles that are very important, very crucial to drive this kind of adoptions as well as implementations within the customer segments And there are many customer segments, right? You take the industry, within industry there are subdomain, within subdomain there are different kind of business lines. Each one of those can be treated as a customer. So there is a ample opportunities around the industries. Then we'll get more around talking about the roles that are important to drive the specific outcomes, and how those outcomes can be driven by somebody like you guys who are MBA uh, grads, as well as somebody who has little bit of practicing experience, right? Because I see there are some blend of the people within this group. So with that, let's talk about what exactly data ecosystem means, right? A lot of people do not understand what data sciences is, where data analytics fits, where it ends. A lot of people get confused between visualization and data sciences, because those are completely different topics. So anybody who implements the data sciences will have some shape or form of similar diagram. Okay, could be complex, could be simple, could be just components of that, but eventually everything will come together, right? So on the left hand side, as any industry, any data sources are pumped into the through ETL pipeline into EDWs and data lakes. Now enterprise data warehouses or data lakes, and there are new terms every day that are getting coined. There is a term called lake house as well, which is a combination of data warehouse and data lake, because data lakes weren't enough to really solve the business problem. So don't go with the terminology. Imagine that this is centralized repository of your data coming from all your ERPs, CRMs, banking systems, or healthcare, EHRs, or any of those within the business lines that you are dealing with. All the source data typically processed through your ETL pipelines and brought into the centralized repository. For data sciences to be successful, or analytics to be possible, this centralized repository is very, very important. 95% of your analytics or data sciences success lies on your quality of the data, connectedness of the data, trust that you can have onto the data, and last one, most importantly, how easy it is to understand from the inside standpoint. And I think Prachi, when she was talking about, she already said that raw data is there, but it is not enough to drive the decisions. So what data sciences or data analytics is all about, converting your raw data into more meaningful insights so that you can make better decisions. The decision-making process is split into three buckets. One, in a form of reports and KPI that tells the organization what is happening, where it is happening. It does not tell you why it is happening, right? So any KPI that you take, any measure that you take, it will tell you, okay, this is where you are, this is where you were yesterday or last year or 10 years back, depending on how your comparative analysis is going on. But it tells you more about the description about the problem that you are into. The advanced analytics takes all of those KPIs and measures and converts that more into a diagnostic, as well as why it is happening, right? Why it is happening is also tells you, okay, what will happen. So the advanced analytics is all about taking your diagnostic, converting them into what will happen into future, right? So for example, let's say if there was loan default as a use case, that if you take, if you are from banking or economic side, let's say banking sector, if I'm looking at the loans, okay, and I want to approve certain loans, what I will look at for all my CIBIL reports, right? Similar to what we look here as the credit reports, credit bureau reports, that gives me the indicators based on the pattern of somebody's behavior toward financial. It gives me certain insights. That's a diagnostic. Then I look at what my income ratio is. If my income to debt ratio is right, it will project, okay, that this is what person will be able to afford as a loan, for example, right? So those predictions are generated using machine learning models. Now, just to set the table, whenever we talk about machine learning models, always remember that machine learning models are only three types: statistical models, machine models, which are more about the NLP, which recognizes the digital data, converts and analyzes that data. And third one, which is more like a predictive models, which is combination of statistical and mathematical formulas to tell you at a certain time horizon how certain things will look like, right? So that's a machine learning models that comes. And the last one comes more like a decision strategy, which is nothing but conversion of your insights, recommendations, predictions, and optimization that you are suggesting, whether those decisions are implementable, acceptable, as well as will drive certain ROI within the organization or not. So this entire value chain is called as a data analytics, right? Data sciences is a overlay put on top of your reporting, machine learning, AI, and decision making. So far with me?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So with that, okay, let's talk a little bit more about what exactly kind of analytics are generated in today's industry, not theoretical, more of practical and being used today. So there are descriptive analytics, which tells about what is happening, generally seen in form of reports or dashboards. Diagnostic analytics are nothing but which tells you why it happened, where it happened, why is also root cause analysis. And nature, it is more exploratory. It doesn't have one single answer. It has a combination of answers. Those combination of answers really tell you, okay, where to look for. Predictive analytics, which is more about telling in a future where it is headed, how the forecast looks like. And there is a lot of ML, AI, LLM models that are used, right? So this area is something that is evolving extremely fast. Okay, but the problem that industry has today, that descriptive and diagnostic do not have the common base. For example, anybody within your class as well, if you ask to measure something, each one of you have a different unit, different perspective, and different size to measure it. So taking any example within the business as well, a measurement needs to be standardized. That measurement has to be baselined, so that then you can say that from baseline what my effect is going to happen, right? So before somebody gets to predictive analytics, there is a lot more work that has to happen on the first two parts, descriptive as well as the diagnostic. And then once you have the predictive analytics available, then you can talk about prescriptive, where you can tell the user that what they need to do for. For example, today, if you look at your car or your vehicle, any vehicle, right? We have the meter to tell us how much gas, how much petrol that we have into our tanks, right? It exactly tells you how much miles you can really drive for, right? Most of the vehicles today, earlier wasn't, but that is nothing but a statistical model that tells you that, okay, within this much of fuel, you have covered this much distance and this much you can go. So there is a baseline that is already being captured. So it can tell you that, okay, without Google Map integration, it can tell you that, oh, your fuel is going to last for another 50 miles. You should look for the gas station. That's the example of prescriptive analytics, right? So what you should do and how you can optimize the whole business workflow, right? So I just wanted to give you these two things before I jump onto these three most important parts of your takeaway, right? So in a business analytics or analytics, there are three roles which are extremely important. There are technical roles such as data engineer, data architects, data modelers, DBAs, infrastructure architects. All of those are given, which are the foundational. But really transforming something like analytics or report or KPI into a business decision requires these three roles. First role is a business analyst, somebody who can really define a problem. A lot of people call that today as a subject matter expert. Somebody calls that a product owner. Somebody calls them as a product manager. But ultimately, what they do is a business analysis. They define the problem, they understand the problem, then they identify and work closely with the stakeholders. Okay, how to really solve that problem, and then defines what sort of solution is really required from the business context standpoint. Those business contexts are given to the data analyst. Now, these data analysts are typically data experts, SQL expert, but business driven. somebody who can write a complex SQL queries or work with the Excel sheets, okay, or any statistical basic formulas, okay, to take the clean data and convert that into some sort of insight, right? So data analysts are typically a combination of somebody who has a technical background but has a future of being a business stakeholder or a business decision maker, or ability to create enough information for business stakeholders to make the decision. And then the last one comes the data scientist. Now, data scientists are typically, again, techno-functional, who drives more of AI ML implementations. Now, in your batch, and some of you might have technical background, some of you may have business background, some of you may not have any of that background, right? So the opportunity for you is all in three buckets. You can pick and choose, you can learn. I don't think there is a rocket science into this. With all the AI tools that are into market now, nobody even needs to write the SQL queries. They just need to define the right prompt so that it generates the SQL query for you to run, right? So most important aspect of these three roles are understanding the business, understanding the problem, understanding what will solve the problem, and then defining what outcome it will drive. Important thing, today's market, everybody is looking for a ROI, and ROI is measured in terms of the outcome that you drive, right? So if you are trying to make a career into a data analytics or data sciences as a business MBA grad, my sincere request will be pressure upon your skills to understand the business. You should be able to draw the workflow diagrams of the end-to-end business. You should be able to decompose each one of those process components into a smaller processes. And then for each process, you should be able to define what is the input, what is process itself, what is the output expected. If you understand these three things, you will be able to define analytics, you will be able to define the dashboards, you will be able to define the outcome, right? Now, with this, okay, most important aspect, where does this role really lies onto, okay, or which segment they really impact onto. So as I said, data engineer are typically onto all your data pipelines and enterprise data warehouses. There are data engineers plus business analysts who work onto the data lakes or the centralized repositories. Rest all the roles are analyst roles, right? Somebody who can bring a blend of business and technology, right? At the cleaning or transformation layer, feature engineering, which is the creation of data sets which will solve specific problem. Those are all data analyst roles. Reporting KPI, again, data analyst role, somebody who can define the measurement criterias. Data scientist at the ML level. Okay, now data scientist also comes with a two flavor. Somebody who can define the data sciences application and somebody who can create the application itself, right? I think you guys have a better play as a data sciences expert to tell, okay, what to really do. Somebody who can find the application and give it to the data sciences developer who can apply those techniques and run those models on top of the data. And then the last one comes, which is the, I call more like a data analyst, okay, not the data analyst. Reason being, you need to have the business and data combination, right? So the business plus data is that BA role, right? Now, a lot of people get confused between the data sciences, okay, and then I will get onto, okay, how career paths are evolving, what industry is looking for. Data sciences is not about a technology, okay, it is not about like writing bunch of code or developing dashboard or developing some IT software. It is not. What it is about a business understanding. It is about statistical and mathematical formulas. Like, for example, we all learn into the MBA classes the quantum theories, right? How overall business strategies should evolve, discrete mathematics, your linear graphs. All of those techniques are nothing but the business techniques that we apply day in, day out into the decision making. Domain knowledge is very important, guys. Anybody who doesn't pursue the domain depth in the industry that they want to work into eventually will be replaceable. But once you acquire enough business understanding, then your knowledge translates into the business impact, and then it becomes very difficult to replace, right? So better decision comes with the predictions and the automation. That is nothing but a data sciences. Very layman terms. There is nothing more than this into data sciences. Now I will take a pause if there are questions before I jump onto the next part of this session. Am I going too fast?
No, pace is perfect.
Any questions so far then? Okay. Now, so why data sciences has been the talk of the town, why everybody is talking about it, why people are investing into this, why industry is evolving so fast, right? Because data sciences matters to the existence and scale of the business. You take any business, we make decisions based on our gut feel. That gut feel comes with a confidence that we have seen into the past. But now once you move from a small scale business to something which has the multi customers and has a variety of products or variety of services, you really need a good mechanism to analyze that data. That is where the data sciences really comes into the picture. So it tells you the business reality where it really requires that markets are volatile, your competition is very high, customer behavior shifts extremely fast, right? We ourselves are the customers, right? How easily we get pissed off with very small thing that happens with us, whether it's a cellular phone or whether it's a traffic signal or whether it's a bike that is giving us a trouble, right? So all of that, if you put into the context of any business, they need to understand the behavior of customer, right? And then decision must be made faster. You can't wait for weeks and weeks to make the decisions. You can't keep analyzing data for days before making a decision. It has to happen immediately, right? If you don't do that, then you're losing the market. Also, the industries depends on the data sciences, right? It is not only about the data expert telling you, you yourself use it every day. If you don't get the insight, you don't use that product. Take any of that. If you don't get the outcome, you don't use that product. If you're not liking that product, it doesn't fit your sentiment, you don't use that product. Understanding all of those are dependencies that industries carry. And then the last one, which is very important, that it is a business capability that everybody wants to develop so that they can do a better business decisions, whether it is about expansion, whether it is about shutting down, whether it is about keeping lights on, whether it is about talking a growth path, right? Any of those decisions has to be made based on evidence, and evidence comes from your data. But data itself doesn't tell you that. It has to be brought in from a data to really say that, okay, these are the evidence that are telling me that this decision has to be made today, right? Or this decision has to be deferred until next 12 months, right? Now the industry level wise, everybody, like whether you name the industry, and they are adopting a data sciences, and some of those have been on a hype curve if you look at, or an adoption curve you look at. Some of those at the peak, some of those are at the beginner stage. For example, telecom and banking were the first one to adopt, but the retail is the one who mastered it. How do you get on Amazon today certain products to push to you? Why you get those ad? Why there are, like, if you are searching for certain product or you bought a product, it immediately suggests you that, okay, along with this product, a lot of people have bought this product as well. It may not be true, but it may drive the business, right? So retail really mastered the data sciences and data analysis, whereas manufacturing and healthcare are still into the early adoptions. In my view, because I work into healthcare for last, 14 years now, 13, 14 years. In a healthcare, there is a massive adoption that has happened over the last 5 years in terms of the data analytics, and they are moving on to the data sciences and AI, right? Manufacturing, we're the first one to adopt to the automation, but they are the last one to really get onto the predictive maintenance, for example, right? A lot of them are still onto the manual based uh, definitions, what causes the maintenance, rather than predictions of those. So across the industries, there are opportunities for somebody like data analyst or business analyst or data sciences folks, right? Now, there are two areas that I really want you to focus on to. Okay, and this is very important from how you need to start thinking about your resumes as well. And when I say resume, it is not a Word document. It is about a skill that you pursue, the skill that you possess, right? So business areas across the board, any organization, any business line, does not matter whether that's a healthcare, whether that's automobile, whether that's a general manufacturing, or it's a infrastructure. It doesn't matter. But these are the 6 areas that each company has: marketing, which is the customer segmentation, churn, the engagement, adoption, all of those. Finance, which is the risk bearing. That department really looks for, okay, what is my revenue going to be? What is my cost going to be? What my overall EBITDA going to be? All of those good things, finance, and they want to really forecast it better, right? The better the forecast, better the share prices, better the outlook for investor, better the outlook for growth, right? So the finance department is the heart of the whole data sciences initiatives at any organization. Operations, which is the end-to-end operation. It could be supply chain to a production to distribution to acquisition, any of those sub processes under ERP that you take, those are under the operations, and a lot of innovations and optimization happens into that area. And then the HR, strategy, product management are the liaison that everybody needs it. Some invest heavily onto certain things, some invest lesser onto those things. I haven't seen a lot of HR based data sciences, data analytics happening, but more onto the CRM. That happens a lot, right? Now, why that is important, these business areas, because those drive the outcome for the organization. Anything to do with data sciences has to have one or many of these outcomes or values, then only your budgets gets approved. So when you will create a business case for your data sciences project in any company that you work for, the first thing that you will have to really tie back your initiative to one of these 6 factors, whether it will drive the revenue growth, it will drive the cost reduction, it will have a better customer engagement and experience, it will drive the competitive advantage, and it will be faster, better decision making. So there are few qualitative and there are few quantitative. So you need to really tie back one at least from both the categories, quantitative as well as qualitative. That's how your business cases will get created. Now, business case could be a larger program or could be even a simple use case that you are trying to push within your organization. But you will require to tie back to these values, right? Now, why I'm telling you this? Because if you're looking for a career, you need to know that what career really requires as a foundation to be really selected for certain roles, right? All these are the foundational blocks. So if I'm interviewing a interns from MBA, whether those are from MITs or Harvard or anywhere, these are the traits that I really look for. It doesn't matter where a person comes from. What matters, what they bring onto the table, right? Now, most important thing from the your understanding standpoint, okay, these are the 3 roles that I want to really I want you to focus on to. Data analyst, okay, because you will have a ability to understand the business, you will have ability to understand the constructs of the business, you will also have ability to define how the future should really look like. So data analyst, data scientist, and business analyst, these are the 3 roles which will really make a better career for yourself, right? With that, okay, a very high level flow, okay, not really going to walk through, but always remember that your success will be dependent onto the predecessor as well as somebody who is going to take the output and run with it, right? Now, there are the roles that I have added here. So business problem identification, okay, where you define the business objectives, where you define the KPIs, success criteria, critical for success. You also define the overall workflow of the solution. All of that comes as part of the business problem identification. Once you define the business problem, then you start to find out whether there is a noise into that problem or that's really a problem. Because a lot of time when we talk about a problem, we take some generic things. When we try to solve that, we realize that, okay, this problem is a minuscule and does not really change a lot into my organization. So you want to test your hypothesis on data collection all the way to data analysis, whether I have a data. Okay, a lot of times people ask for the answer and they don't realize that they just don't have the data. Whether I have a data, whether that data is ready for my analysis, whether it has the quality to support the judgment, and whether I can trust that data or not. All these four are nothing but the noise into your business problem, right? Once you get satisfactory answer at the stage 4, then you start developing the models to say that, okay, this is how I will do my statistical modeling. This will be my population, or this will be my basis for the decision or the insight. That gets defined at the statistical model level, and then you generate the insights out of it, then send that to the decision making and action workflow, which are the business owners typically take. That business leader, data scientists do not make decision. They provide ammunition to make the decision, but they themselves don't make any decision. Once business owner or business leader looks at it and says that, yes, I trust this, I'm ready to make the decision, or they can say that, okay, this decision does not make sense, your analysis is incorrect. The moment the incorrect happens, that becomes a feedback. You go back to drawing board, define a business problem again, or sharpen the business problem again. Sometime from here feedback, you might go back to the insight generation. Sometime you might go back to the data cleaning level, right? So depending on what feedback comes, you may touch 1 to 5 at any given point of time. But the business decision makers really requires 3 things. What is your confidence onto your insights that you have generated? What is your trust onto the data? And third one, whether that decision has to be made with certain recommendations, or whether that requires further analysis, right? Those 3 things are very, very important from the overall outcome standpoint. Okay. Now, this is where it becomes interesting. Which are the sectors that you can really look for opportunities? As I said, across the sector, data sciences is a hot topic, but there are few which are very, very important and very hot, especially India market, healthcare and pharmaceuticals, very high, logistics supply chain, very high, energy and utilities, very high. Education, edtech used to be, but it's not very hot nowadays, right? After what happened to Byju's as well as other edtech companies, a lot of people have pulled back investments into edtech and education. So that won't be much, but there will be something on a retail that may come back very highly, e-commerce and retail. So these are the sectors that you should watch out for. And a lot of things are happening into healthcare, not only pharmaceuticals or life sciences, but the core healthcare, the health systems or hospitals. They are really looking to use data sciences to predict better behavior. Now in a healthcare, there are also subdomains. You have the behavioral health, you have the chronic condition management, you have population health, you have quality, you have regulatory. There are a bunch of other things that comes into the under healthcare, but you can really look at any of those. But the segments under each of those, as I said, marketing and sales, finance, operations, HR, product strategy. Now, from the MBA standpoint, one of the things that I always tell people of the MBA grads, wherever I take the lecture, that product and strategy is a core to MBA. You guys need to really start thinking about that as your primary skill. If that primary skill gets evolved into better, you will have a better career path. Now, career path, you can start as a data analyst and go all the way to chief data officer, or you can go to the chief data sciences officer, you can go to the chief business officer, you can go to the chief product officer as well. But you start with the data analyst or business analyst, right? Now, depending on your past experience and your MBA degrees, probably you may have a lateral entries somewhere as a senior business analyst or a product owner, or somebody like maybe under finance, a finance analyst. You can have a different career path, but always remember the ingredient to get there are common. That your strong business understanding, strong data analysis, problem definitions, your skill to define problem in a smallest and simplest way is the most rarest skill, because people are not able to describe the problem that they are having. They can vent out, they can creep about it, they can cry about it, but they can't define the problem. So develop that skill that I can problem. Are there any questions? You
No,
guys are
sir.
very quiet. Yeah. You guys are very quiet. Yeah, go ahead. I
Nitin
don't
sir.
see. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Nitin sir, if students wants to start small projects, right, into data science or decision science, so what really they can start with? Because currently they have a theoretical knowledge, or they might go through some books, or but if you really want to get into practical approach of doing things, so what would be your suggestion? Because our students are mostly from marketing, logistics, and finance. So
Okay.
how really they can start with like a small project where they can really showcase the thing? Yes, they have an flair of data science and these things.
Yeah. So search for open data sources first. Okay. Now in US, okay, not very sure in India whether we have something like that, but in US there are variety of portals from where you can download the data. For example, you go to Kellogg's, and Kellogg's has data onto every domain possible in this world. It has the finance data, that how the rural banking data they have collected. They have credit bureau data. They have the credit unions data. They have uh, credit card data, okay, which is de-identified. You take any one of those of your interest and your specialization. By taking that data, then you start developing any kind of model. Now, any model, when I say any model, you can take any example of models. For example, I want to find out how spend has shifted from uh, consumer goods to more leisure goods, okay, luxury goods. Okay, you can also look at, okay, what our spending power has increased over a period of time, and how spending power will increase in next 5 years based on the data that is available. So you can take any of that data sets. Okay, statistical models, you need to really understand that there are ton of models, but most important models are classification models, that you should be able to classify the population or a products or a services or a problem into a particular category. So you take any classification models, you can take the behavioral models, you can take some of the forecasting models, okay, and apply onto that data. Now, how you can apply that? You can take Python as a skill. You can take as simple as that. You go to ChatGPT and upload the data and say that, okay, I want to analyze this data in this shape format, define the problem statement as well as what you're looking for as an insight. It will create for you. Technology itself is not a big thing in this conversation, by the way, Rahul. Okay, what is more important, that what is a problem that you want to solve for? Data sets are available. You define the problem. You will be able to find out the models that you can apply onto, and then you can see, okay, how the skills are evolving over a period of time.
Right. Thanks, Nitin sir.
And there is a Indian government data also available, by the way. Okay, for
Right.
example, the election data. Okay, in India we always have an election, so take the election data for Maharashtra state and run what happened into the voting patterns. You will be able to run great models onto that. It tells you more about the people behavior, and as well as the political shifts, right? I'm just making one example, right? You can take any example. Most important thing, identify the right data source for it.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Nilesh, I also have one question. We are in technology-driven era, right, where AI and ML has evolving day by day. So, how this AI and ML is, putting value into the business analytics role, where the job opportunity is concerned, and another part is whether these technologies are creating the opportunities or eating up the opportunities which is available already.
No, it is great question. Let's first put AI ML where it belongs to. Okay, data sciences is a stream of a AI ML, right? Overall, if you look at in today's world, what is happening? AI ML is applied into 4 segments of any business. First one, to drive the automation. Second, driving the insights and intelligence. Third, most importantly, on the process optimizations, right? Which is more non-automation based, but the business processes automations. And fourth one, which is more about the growth and understanding the segment of the business, right? So AI ML today is applied into heavily onto two segments which are probably going to eat up more jobs, right? First one, automation, which is insights or intelligent automation. You can take any example, by the way. For example, approving loans in traditional banking versus the advanced banking, 95% of it is done today with a machine learning. Okay, just looking at your past data, looking at similar earning data, and telling you whether you have the ability to pay back the loan or not, and then it generates approve or don't approve, right? Or do the further analysis. That sort of insights. So earlier, which needed 4 or 5 people, now today is done by one person. So automation, which is insight or intelligent driven, are going to eat up more and more jobs. ML, which is again a stream into the data sciences, which is a decision making. Knowledge workers are not going to get reduced, guys. Okay, what will reduce is day-to-day jobs, low-end jobs, which can be completely automated, does not require heavy skills. Those will get automated. Now, in a US sector specifically, okay, and like because I work into US sector, so I know more about it. Rest of the places I have heard about it. So in US, there are 4 or 3, in fact, patterns that have evolved over a period of time in last 24 to 36 months. One of the pattern is anything to do with the engineering work, right? For example, software engineering, coders, software development, all of that is becoming more AI driven. What it means that you don't have to write the code from scratch, right? As long as you have a requirement, you input those requirements, it generates the whole code, you review it, and then you approve it to get into the production or into the QA. Earlier, that cycle was a complete cut cycle where you had to code, unit test, and then deploy, right? So that cycle has reduced. So the number of engineers required to get things done has also reduced. So anything to do with engineering, machine learning and AI is going to reduce those jobs as well. Marketing, customer engagement, contact center will definitely reduce because of the chatbots. But analytics will not be replaced by the AI. It will just get accelerated because of AI, but will not be replaced by AI. Does that answer your question, Deepak?
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, hello. I just wanted to ask you that few of our students are from many of the students are from different backgrounds. Background means graduation background. So they have completed their Bachelor of Arts, then Bachelor of Commerce, Bachelor of Science. Okay, a few of the students are from B Farm, B Engineering, that too in mechanical and computer engineering and all. uh, One of few of the students, they think that if they are from BCA background and B computer, then only they have to opt for this business analytic course, and rest of the students, they think that this BA, like business analytics, is not for them. So what is your thought on this?
Not necessary. Okay, so probably if somebody would have asked me this question 5 or 10 years back, I would have said that absolutely right. If you don't know the coding, don't get into the data sciences or analytics or business analytics, right? But time has shifted a lot, right? And primary reason with that is the resources are available. You just need to use them. It doesn't matter whether you are coming from arts background, whether you are coming from computer background, or whether you are coming from mathematics background, right? Any and every person has ability to contribute to the data sciences or business analysis per se. What you need to make sure that the foundational skills, as I said, ability to define the problem, ability to understand the business, ability to create the workflow diagrams or data flow diagrams, and most importantly, summarization, narration, and conversation. Those are the skills that are very, very foundational to this business, specifically when it comes to the data. If you are not able to define the problem, you won't be able to define the solution. You won't be able to find the solution, right? That is a skill that is more important versus whether you know how to write a code into C++ versus writing code into Python versus writing code into something like a SAS or R. Those skills are not required for the business analyst. What business analyst requires? A great communication skills. What business analyst requires is a great ability to ask right questions. What is most important skill that you can develop as a business analyst or data analyst is a curiosity, asking why it happening, why it is happening. So 5 why principle is the most important principle for that role. What you studied in graduation has zero bearing onto it. I know, because in this batch, somebody is like my child, like my friend for last 20-25 years, comes from mathematics background, right? And he made a great career into the IT, right? So it is going to impact if you let it impact. My suggestion is develop new skills which are core to this business versus what you studied.
Yes, sir.
Now, this slide really summarizes the whole conversation that we have been having, right? We all know that, okay, why data sciences matters, okay, how the MBAs can multiply the opportunities for themselves, right? First of all, move from your opinion based to evidence based leadership. What you studied into MBA is all research and thesis and case studies. If you understood those case studies, means you already have the evidence onto it. You haven't studied books, you have studied case studies. Clarify to yourself that everything that you studied has been implemented into past and had an implication on business, whether it's a positive or a negative. Increase credibility with your skills across the board, whether it's a strategy. You should be able to define the businesses, give the problem and solutions as a consulting, and most importantly, you should be able to drive people to solve the problem as a leadership, right? So MBA really gives you that as a skill to become more like a leader. You need to sharpen that. Why MBA fits for data sciences ecosystem? Because of the problem framing expertise that you can really bring to the table. Decision ownerships, very important, because eventually at some point of time in your career, you will be running some part of the businesses or your own businesses or somebody else's businesses. But decision ownership lies with the people who make it and the translator. You could be a great bridge between the business stakeholder and the technical teams who does not understand the business and the business who does not understand the technology. So you can be that great bridge to drive from problem to a solution to a adoption. Just having a solution doesn't help. That solution also has to be adopted. So the change management comes into the picture where you can play a bigger role, right? And these are the skills that you will have to develop. By the way, these are not the skills that are taught into the classes. These are the skills that you will develop by more conversations, getting into some practical problems, finding some problems and deliberating onto those problems, having the round tables around those problems, and then finalizing the solutions. Any problem that you pick up and you should be able to run with that. Career role standpoint, as I said, these are the opportunities available and you can enter from any level depending on your skills and your ability to get shit done, right? I always have the GSD on my door cabin. It is simply get shit done. Don't tell me the problems, get things done. Business analyst, product manager, analytics consultant, strategy analyst, great role, great evaluation around that. That leads into more management role as well. Marketing analytics, operations analytics, and then last one, credit or risk analytics. This is going to be the foundational into next 20 years, because a lot of things going to change into financial market, as well as any risk that happens, any risk, not only financial, whether it's a hiring risk, whether it's a firing risk, whether it is launching new product risk, or decommissioning or sunsetting a product risk, anything to do with the business going to have a risk associated. Data sciences are going to play major role on identifying those risks and suggesting what should be the next steps, right? So this is how your career should get evolved. You pick a role, whichever you feel you want to do, and take a combination of those. Just don't settle onto one. Then look at this middle box. Okay, what skills that role will be really required to support, and for that skill, okay, how your opportunity really needs to shape up for yourself. It's an extremely competitive world. I am looking for one sales guy. I got 900 profiles in one day. One sales guy, and pay is not even a grade, right? So imagine the competition onto something like this. There will be a competition. Differentiation will come from your ability to convince. Again, defining the problem and solution together is nothing but your ability to convince people that you are the right candidate, right? Now, how to pursue this is the bottom line here, right? At an entry level, if you are looking at the entry level job, there are two jobs for you: business analyst or associate consultants, right? If you have a prior experience into the data sciences or programming or computer sciences, you could have the advantage to get to the mid level, but that won't last longer unless you have that skills to expand onto, right? So senior business analyst, analytics manager, or you want something like a program managers or a product managers. The senior leadership roles over a period of time that you could get to head of business analytics, strategy head, COO, CDO, CBO, CAO, all those are possible opportunities, right? Now, common career roles, as we spoke, key industry which are hiring today across the globe, okay, are these industries. You can focus on to one or two of those. Don't try to boil the ocean, because business understanding is the most vital for your career growth. Typical responsibilities of anybody into this career path is to have ability to define the business problem and KPI, perform descriptive as well as diagnostic analysis. Now, diagnostic analysis, as I said, is nothing but why. Somebody telling you, okay, this is a problem, ask the question why it happened. Somebody gives you answer, again ask, okay, why. Unless you get the answer which doesn't have to be another why, till then you should be able to ask those questions, which is nothing but the diagnostic analysis. Why it happened is the root of most of the problems. Then interpret dashboards and reports. Somebody else will create a dashboard for you, but you should be able to understand that and narrate that to your business, that hey, this is what is happening the problem, business, or within the problem area, or within the segment that you are trying to solve for, or the outcome that you are trying to reach to. Presentation, very important skill, because one of the things that we expect as an industry expert from anybody who comes from this data sciences group, whether they have the presentation skills or not. Because what you will sell will be bought based on your confidence into your presentation. If your confidence on a presentation is low, it means that you haven't prepared on to really analysis that gives you the enough ammunition to say that, okay, this is how it will be solved, right? So most important presentation skill apart from the problem definition skill itself. And then the last one, look at these skills. If you develop at least 5 of this, any 5, trust me, you will have the opportunities in the industry. Any questions, comments?
I encourage my colleagues to ask questions if they have any. Don't be shy, please.
Yeah, because this is last slide. After this, I will sign.
Sir, I have one question. If as a beginner we are going to join the industry for a business analyst role, so how can we build our profile? How many project at least we have, and what are main aspects that interview whenever they shortlist the resume? So, what are the important key aspects they are looking for?
Yeah, so there is no fixed formula, Mohini. Okay, this goes organization to organization, but what most of the people look for is, have you solved any problem that your profile can really justify? Okay, a lot of people put the bigger projects into their profile or resumes, and we as a hiring managers know that you might not have contributed to the entire success of the project. So your resume should be able to talk about, in this larger aspect or a problem, I was contributing to this particular solution or a problem area. So your profile should not try to bloat up and show too much. Should be able to say that, okay, you know this much and you have solved this, right? That is one thing that we look for. Second, uh, depending on where the hiring is happening, it is slightly different. Like for example, when I hire people in India, I have a different expectation from those profiles versus if I am hiring into Argentina, right? Because of the experience, because of the talent pool available, as well as the uh, lateral hiring in India versus the freshers hiring in India are two different things, right? So for freshers, if your profile talks about that you have the problem solving skills, if you have a presentation skills, your presentation skills are visible from your profile itself. The way you create your profile, that itself tells whether you have the presentation skills or not. Your communication skills, your participation into variety of programs. For example, uh, the way you are inviting the external lecturers or experts to tell you a story, you should do that internally and record that as your experience, right? Those are the skills that people will look for. They will not look for whether you know the Python or whether you know something like let Informatica, or you know Oracle, or you know SQL Server, because there are millions of those, right, tools. Uh, Anything specific I'm looking for, there is no way I can find into your profiles. So rather than that, go with the generic things, which are these skills, right? If your profile talks to these skills, which are on the right hand side of the box, okay, or slide, your profile will get selected for sure for first round. First round evaluation is always on to three criteria for the entry level candidates, right? First one, whether you have a great problem solving skills, whether you have good communication skills, and whether you have a great um, uh, uh, learning skills, more like a adaptation, right? Whether you will be able to learn the business, or whether you will be able to learn the technology, or whether you will be able to work in a larger group of the people. Those are the traits is what people will look for. It was a long answer, but ultimately,
No, sir,
remember,
I got all the points.
I think there was another question. Okay. So this is what I had from my side. Hope this helped. Okay. If there are any questions, anything, you guys can shoot out an email. Okay. I like having a conversations and helping people. If there are anything that comes up, do not hesitate to just shoot the email. And there are some books that I would recommend. Okay, just give me a second. I would highly encourage you guys to go through this book. Okay, Designing Machine Learning Systems. Okay, this is not a technical book. This is more of a business context, how the applications or solution should be built, it will get you great understanding about how industry really looks for. Okay, I just completed that book. Great book, by the way. Okay, and there is another book that I would highly recommend, uh, Effective Execution. Okay, it's a book about how to execute onto any idea, any problem solving, or anything that you are trying to build or sell. Right, Effective Execution. Amazing book. I have read that book at least 3 times. Every time I read, there is something new to learn from. Highly recommend. Okay, great. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Uh, One of the things that and I do this lot of sessions for India based universities and colleges. One thing that we lack is the curiosity and asking questions. Okay, and especially with this group with MBAs, and you want to get into the business analysis, that skill is very important. If we have like 40 people on this session, I was expecting at least 30 questions. Okay, but sometimes we just shy away from asking the questions, and that becomes a problem for us in a career. Don't hesitate. Anything that comes, at least put into chat if you don't want to voice out your question directly, but always interact with your uh, uh, teams as well as anybody who is giving you session. That just encourages the others as well to ask more questions. Okay, and I'm very blunt guy, by the way, and Deepak knows me for really long, so I don't hold back. Great. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great time. If there are questions, anything that comes up, please send out.
Yes, Prachi ma'am, vote of thanks.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Nilesh, sir. I request Dhanashri ma'am to express vote of thanks.
Thank you, Prachi ma'am. On behalf of Rajgarh Institute of Management Research and Development, I sincerely thank our honorable guest, Mr. Nilesh Patil, sir, Chief Growth and Strategy Officer, Wellstack, Nashville, USA. Sir, your session on career opportunities in business analytics was very useful for our students. Your rich industry experience and global exposure gave students a clear understanding of how business analytics is applied in real organizations. The practical examples and career guidance shared by you have motivated students to plan their future with confidence. We are truly thankful to you for giving your valuable time and sharing your knowledge with us. I would also like to thank our respected director, Dr. Rohan Daiwale sir, for his support and guidance in organizing this webinar. My sincere thanks to all faculty members for their efforts and cooperation. I also thank all the students for attending the session and making it successful. Once again, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much,
very much.
sir.
Thanks, Nilesh.
Thank you, everyone. The session is now concluded. Thank you.